Howdy, hi, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it might be for you. And welcome to another long-awaited session of Cooking with Rambo. I know it's been a hot second since I've done one of these videos, but I haven't been making anything that seemed worthwhile of recording, except for today. So, I have had this craving for some chicken vodka rigatoni, so that's what we are going to be making today. Yes, I know it's got vodka in the name, but as a lot of people should hopefully understand, when you cook with any form of alcohol, it burns off when you're cooking it. So please do not feel like this is something that you can't eat because you're not 21 yet. It's fine. So I'm just pulling out some of the ingredients here. I've got a pound of bacon, I've got a pound of mushrooms, I've got a cute little onion, and then that aluminum foil that you see there are 2 chicken breasts. I got a family size pack of chicken with my dad and split it because my craving turned into his craving, so he got 3 and I got 2. And then I've also got a pound box of rigatoni. If I had done a bigger portion, I could have done 2 pounds of rigatoni. But it's just me, myself, and I living in my apartment right now, so I don't need that much food. I just needed 5 servings to get me through the week. So I actually end up making 6 servings out of this, which is more than enough for me. But I'm just grabbing some of the pots and pans and stuff that I need now so that I have everything out and ready to go. I did set up the 2 cameras for you guys this time around, and they did thankfully cooperate the entire time I was recording. So you have the over-the-top stove view, but then you also have me over here working on the countertop. Here are the sauce packs that we're going to be using for this. So there are 2 Parma Rosa and 1 Alfredo sauce mix. If you don't know how to use these Knorr sauce mixes, it's really simple. There's instructions on them, but it's literally just adding milk and occasionally butter to different things, and it'll make the sauce that you want. So in addition to that, I've got a nice big pot over here for us to boil the pasta into, and then I've got as big of a skillet as I have on hand. Honestly, I probably should have used my wok for this, that way I wasn't constantly dumping things on the stove, but I used a big of a pan as I had so that I can try and only use 1 pan for this instead of getting multiple. And I'm just kind of shifting things around, trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life here, guys. I never know what I'm doing with my life here, but it's okay. It's okay. We'll get through this together, guys. I promise. Off screen here, I am taking that big pot and I'm filling it with water so that we can boil the pasta. I am also going to sprinkle some salt into the water as I turn on the stove. Yes, I know that back burner that I have it on is meant for simmering, and I should have used the one in the front for boiling, but it's fine. It's fine, I promise. It's okay. The salt in the water, for anyone that's curious, just changes the temperature at which water boils so that it can get hotter without boiling over. Alright, so as we're jumping into the actually doing things segment here, I'm starting by peeling and slicing and dicing our onion. I'm cutting the tops and bottoms off as little as possible to keep as much onion in there as possible, but making it so that I don't have the stem and the root portion of the onion. And then I'm trying to cut a little slit in the side of the skin here, that way I can peel it off, but I struggled with it for a little bit. I don't know if anyone remembers, but I may or may not have slammed my thumb into a car door like a month ago, and it's still technically in a process of healing, so I am still very much in the process of trying not to rip that nail off. I do apologize for the camera blacking out there. I got a notification on my phone that I had to check when my dad messages. I gotta answer him. And I am using my cell phone for that camera angle. It's nice having a little droid camera. I don't know why I didn't think of that before, but I didn't. So there's our onion. It's nice and peeled. Please make sure if you're doing this, you're being very careful of that sharp blade as you're peeling things apart. You don't need to be hurting yourself cooking food, okay? A little bit of skin and blood is not going to hurt you, but you don't want to be putting it in all of your foods. And I'm just gonna kind of be quiet, but I'm going through the process here of cutting up the onion. It's gonna get put into the pan with some butter so that it can get sauteed up, and then I'm gonna work on cutting up the chicken and putting the chicken in there, and then I'm gonna work on cutting up the bacon and putting the bacon in there. It's just a lot of cutting things up and sticking it in. There's no particular order in which you really have to do this, but this is the order in which I do it. So enjoy, and I will chime back in when I feel like I need to. Bye! Hey, it's me again. I decided I needed to chime in here for a second. If you notice, I'm cutting the bacon while it's still in the package. You can take the bacon out of the package first if you'd rather cut it that way. I opted to just cut it while it was in the package because I didn't want the bacon sliding all over the place. But if you happen to notice, I was struggling a little bit with trying to get through the plastic. So I had to stop for a second to grab my blade sharpener and sharpen my knife, and then once I sharpened it, I was able to cut through that plastic again, no problemo. So personal preference in how you want to slice it, if you want it in or out of package. It's also personal preference on how big you want the chunks to be. I usually make mine about half an inch or so wide. And then you've got the full inch thick that the bacon is. So they're nice little chunkies that get to go into here, and they'll just saute up with everything else. Once I get this bacon added into the pot and start getting it going, you're going to notice that I pull out the mushrooms. I start to cut some of the mushrooms in half the thickness wise because sometimes they're just a little too thick in the package itself. But I end up deciding that it's fine and I don't feel like wasting my time cutting them all in half. So I put it in a handful at a time into the mixture for it to saute up. The reason we don't put the mushrooms in at first with the onion is because I don't want them too soft. I want them to have a nice little bit of a chew to them. So again, personal preference and how you want to do it. If you're not a mushroom person at all, you do not have to put mushrooms in, but I love my fungi. So I'm using some baby bell mushrooms when I do get around to adding them, and then you'll notice that I do start snacking on them as well, and I even show you guys. I pulled out some Thousand Island dressing when I was snacking on the mushrooms, and I start dipping the mushrooms into Thousand Island dressing and eating it. So you do you, booze. I'm gonna do me, and me snacks on the food as I'm making it. Okay? Okay. I'll chime back in a little bit, but until then, just observe. Alright, now that everything is pretty well mixed up in our pan there and everything's nice and sauteed and cooked, I'm going to be pulling out my lasagna pan. Now, it's just a half sheet lasagna pan, which is perfectly sized for me, myself, and I, but when I cook for my family, I normally use a full sheet lasagna pan, although maybe this is a quarter sheet lasagna pan and I use a half sheet lasagna pan for them. I don't know. I'm not a baker, okay? I don't know the size of things, but this is a little baby lasagna pan here. I think it's maybe like 9 by 15 question mark? I don't know. I've never had measurements for it. We've always had it at my parents' house and I swiped it, but it's mine now. I'm also going to take one of those packs of Parma-Rosa sauce mix and I'm going to dump it into the skillet that has the chicken and bacon and mushrooms and everything in it. Now, I'm not adding any other liquids into this pan with it. There's tons of bacon grease in here that'll help make it a little bit more liquidy. But really what I'm doing is I'm just trying to make sure that the seasoning gets all over all of this food that's in here. I am going to end up using the other sauce mix packets to make a sauce that gets poured on top as well, but I want to make sure all of this stuff is fully coated. I did also, while I was throwing stuff in here, put some of my everything seasoning in. I know I didn't mention it at the time, but season your food, guys. Don't live up to the cliche of white people who don't season their food, okay? Season your food. It's not that hard. I have an everything seasoning I use that's got garlic powder, onion powder, oregano, Italian, basil, and it's got everything in it, salt, pepper, and then I can just sprinkle it on and give it some seasoning. It gives it a little bit extra flavor. It may be a quick and easy out. There are more exact ways that you can flavor things with like cayenne and paprika and stuff, but my everything seasoning is good for when I just need to season everything. And putting the Parma-Rosa into the skillet is really helping me see whether I fully mixed everything or not. So you're also going to notice that it does stick to the pan and burn onto my pan a little bit, but that flavor is going to end up getting added into the other sauce mix that you're making afterwards. So don't sweat it if it sticks and starts to burn a little bit. You'll see at the end that it pretty much comes clean when I make my other sauce mixes. But I'm just mixing this in real good, and then I'm going to end up moving it into that lasagna pan. And then I'm going to use that skillet to make the other sauces. And quite literally, just follow the instructions on the back of it. It's like 1.5 cups of milk or something like that per packet, and then a tablespoon of butter or something for the one. Just pour it into the pan. I don't use a measuring cup for it when I do it, because I know just about what each measurement's meant to be at this point in life, but if you're not sure, use a measuring cup, measure your liquids, pour it into the pan, put your sauce mix in there, stir it up. It's going to get thick after a while, which is exactly what we want. You'll see here that I'm still mixing that sauce mix, trying to get rid of some of the chunkies. I'm trying not to agitate it too much that it splashes out of the pan, but I do want to agitate it enough that all of the solid powder chunks break up. As it starts to boil and such, it's going to start to dissolve itself regardless, but I'm trying to help the process. You'll also notice that the pasta is pretty much finished up in the corner, so I'm going to start to move on to the pasta. And I'm going to strain all of the water out of it, and I'm going to use my colander to put the pasta into the lasagna pan. That's all going to get mixed up, and then eventually I'm going to pour the sauce in, and I'm going to mix it. And then at the very end, you're not going to see what it looks like after I put it in the oven, but just know that while, yes, everything is pretty much cooked here, I am sticking it into the oven at 350 degrees for approximately 30 minutes. If you had a bigger serving size, you would probably stick it in for longer, but you could also always increase the temperature up to 375 instead of 350. We're really just trying to help everything kind of mesh into a single dish here, rather than it just being pieces that you threw on top of each other. So, you could totally just eat it the way it is now before sticking it in the oven, but I like that little extra crispy bite to my pasta after it comes out of the oven. And that's it! That's it, guys! You're gonna have some chicken vodka rigatoni after that, and I hope you enjoy. There is still another, like, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes of video here of me throwing things together, so please make sure you watch the rest of the video. Leave me a like or a comment or a quick little subscription on the YouTube side. You'll also notice I've got my little social media rotator in the bottom corner of the screen. If you would like to follow us on any other platforms, please feel free. We're live over on the purple side 3 days a week currently, so I'd appreciate the love and support, guys, on this journey as we continue to live our lives. Catch you on the flip side. Bye!